introduce you guys to Damola. Damola is Damola is joining us from Nigeria. He has created a fully virtual school that I feel is absolutely inspirational. With coronavirus and all the ways it has been affecting us and the whole world over this period, the way he's been able to create a whole niche around the field of education is what I consider aspirational. So Damola, if you could just introduce yourself, tell us about your journey, tell us about some of the things that you have learned and what has inspired you to take a whole very traditional, offline system or industry and taking it fully online, and what you feel like people can learn most from your journey, especially when it comes to taking their careers to the digital and virtual space. So I'm going to leave you. I'm going to mute myself. Everyone, if you have any question, please type it in the chat box. We'd be absolutely delighted to hear from you and whatnot. Great, Damola, carry us away to your world of iSchool.
Like Cindy have said, my name is Damola, and I am a Nigerian, but I like to call myself an African because it's beginning to look like Africans will have to come together to take charge of our continent and move our continent forward. And if we are going to do something in the world now, we will all agree that we have to start with education. Like without education, there is nothing we're going to be able to achieve. And I am actually the founder of the iSchool Cloud framework here in Nigeria. And maybe what Cindy did not even know is that I've been running the iSchool Cloud for almost a decade now. And I was quite excited when I saw the topic of what this meeting is all about, like positioning. You see, when I started working on these in 2003, 2006, yeah, I was actually not sure if in my lifetime, virtual schooling, online schooling, and all forms of digital schooling would be widely, accepted. Like coronavirus has actually pushed everyone now to accept it. And I can say that I have actually positioned myself in all these years for today. But I realized when today came around that I did not really do enough, because maybe it's because I thought we were working for the future, like when naturally there will be need for education to evolve into digital form. Because I can remember that my first set of proposals that I was sending out then, I always tell people, I always had to like preach, like explain to people that, okay, 100 years ago, there was a way people were actually going to school. There was a way they were learning. There was a way they were teaching. In fact, 200 years ago, nobody knew anything about computing in the classroom and all that. So I keep telling people that if there was a time people were actually writing with scrolls and ink, and then there was a time we started writing on paper, and the way it's evolving, definitely a time will come that we might not really have to be in classrooms as we have them today. Sorry, not today, yesterday, because as it is now, everyone is now going online. So what we have done before now, we actually worked with a couple of schools. We understudied what they were doing, how schools were being run, how teachers do their things and all that. And we now tried to computerize the whole process so that everything, every teacher, every child is going to a traditional school to do, they can actually achieve it on the screen of their devices, maybe computers and all that. So we did all that. And the little positioning I can say we were able to accomplish now made it possible for us to kind of be the go-to guys when this virus came around and schools were locked down. And then it's now down on everyone that, okay, now we have to go online. Most of the schools we've given proposals to that they're asking us, okay, is this possible? We tell them it's possible, but it's for the future. Let's put it in place. Some actually put it in place, but many did not really subscribe to the idea. Most of those people that refused to follow what we were trying to say then, they are now in a state of confusion. I don't know in other countries, but in Nigeria, many schools are not actually going to survive this pandemic because they didn't have any structure in place. They didn't have any ICT infrastructure in place before this coronavirus came up. And when it came, it hit really hard. I mean, no school was expecting a very long lockdown like this. And then it's kind of interrupted everything they represent. And it's not easy when the whole country is under lockdown. Nobody is allowed to move around. Now, how are you going to work with someone to quickly set up your school and, you know, like set up the portal, train the teachers, explain how parents will go about it and everything? So I'm not happy about this because it's quite unfortunate because a lot of schools were stranded. They started by using WhatsApp and other messaging systems, but it was chaotic. Like if you have a school and then you don't have an infrastructure, you don't have a portal, you don't have everything on ground, and you just want to go online and start teaching and you're using regular media for that, it's not going to work. Teachers are supposed to plan, to prepare their lesson plans ahead. The principal or the school, the head teacher will have to vet and do all those things before the teacher will actually go into the classroom. But how do they do it? They go to Microsoft Word, type, send it via WhatsApp. At the end of the day, like everyone's hard disk was becoming clogged up. Nobody could actually make any head out of what they were doing. Then some schools now had to give up, like, okay, we can't go on like this again. It's not possible. So I take that as a lesson that whenever you have something you are doing, make sure you position yourself for the known, for the anticipated, and for what you are not even expecting at all, the unknown. So basically, that is, I don't know, I was supposed to introduce myself, but you see, I often forget myself. Like, I don't know if there's anything interesting about me to say, apart from what I'm working on. And it has become a passion, like, and recently, the African Union recognized what we are doing as an innovation that can actually uplift education in Africa, and some other organizations like that. And they are quite encouraging. And that's just it in the beginning. But now, as I am sitting here now and talking to you, let me turn around my system so that you guys can see what's here. Now, it was just supposed to be, it was supposed to be a portal, a system for schooling and all that. But you see, as we were getting deeper and deeper into it, we started realizing that absolute value, we must give value to this in totality. Like, okay, don't ask people to just go online and log in, because now a major problem is confronting this issue of online schooling. You want your child to school, to use your phone or your laptop to school, and then maybe you can't actually monitor them. You have to go to work as a parent, and then your child is on the system. And instead of logging into to the school portal or something, they decide to do other things. Like, parents now are struggling with that particular concept here. Like, how do I protect my child from inappropriate content online? If as we are on Zoom now, a teacher cannot actually control a child that is far away if he is on the system. I can actually minimize this app now while I'm talking to you, and then I'm actually on YouTube or Facebook or WhatsApp or even a pornography site and all that. So we now started working on what I call the iSchool Cloud desk, a desk. regular desk. A child needs a desk to work in school, at home, or anywhere. Then we now decided to embed basic computer components in the desk so that once you buy the desk for your child, everything your child needs is already in the desk. You only need to connect it to a TV at home, and then you're good. Without even connecting to the internet, you are doing what you're supposed to do. The system only synchronized to the iSchool Cloud server in the background, so that there will be a kind of two-way transmission of resources. Like the system automatically downloads the classroom resources, and then any evaluation process that is expected of the child to do, the system will send it back to the server so that wherever the teachers are, they can get it. And you see, when we were working on these things, we were not thinking of the whole world. We were not thinking of the whole continent. Our focus was actually on those out of school children. Like, okay, some well-to-do children are already going to school. They have access to quality education and all that. But how about children that, like they're out of school or they're even in school? You know, there are so many schools across the continent that even the teachers they have in such schools are not even qualified enough. How about those ones? So we're actually positioning ourselves, the company, our projects and everything to help these less privileged children, not knowing that a day like this will come, that we will have to.
Damola, I feel like what you're doing with iSchool is so high level that has the potential to, what do we call it, transform an entire industry, okay? So essentially what you're doing is you're providing an opportunity for teachers from around the world, or teachers to reach more underprivileged students in different areas. So let's assume that my question is, what, in your opinion, what do you feel like is one of the main ways that has helped, what do you feel like is one of the main ways that has helped you in your company transform the way work is done? How, the thing is, a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of careers are very heavily geographically based right now, right? So if I was a teacher in Kenya and I wanted to start teaching some of your students in Nigeria using the iSchool portal and things like that, what do you feel are some of the things that would make something like that work? What do you feel like would make someone, you know, open up their careers across borders? You know, what are some of those skills that you feel are important that will help someone, you know, expand the reach of the services they offer beyond the original country? Is my question making sense?
Okay, thanks. You see, you did not give me a time frame to answer that question. And so I'll try not to digress and just quickly answer your question. But you see, when you're doing something like what I'm doing, you always have a lot of things to say. I hope you get that. And there's always one or two stories that you want to tell. Let me give you a very good example to answer your question. I have a very good friend. She's actually a school teacher in Austria. And before this whole pandemic and all that, we've always talked about, okay, is there a way she can assist teachers in Nigeria and all that? But you see, when this pandemic started and every child was locked up in the house and they couldn't go anywhere, do you know that this particular person started teaching about 5,000 of our children in Nigeria through the iSchool Cloud? And when you asked that question, that what are the skills required and all that, you see, there is no fixed or concrete answer to that, because now we are at this stage that education, the curriculum they're using across the continent and all that, it's time to diversify it. People are already talking about, okay, the old subjects, the old topics they are teaching in schools, they're not really relevant today, not to talk of the future. So I tell people now that whatever you can offer the world is what you should bring to the high school cloud. Then someone started teaching baking to the nursery school children in one of our online classes. And I'm telling you, we didn't know it, but it became the most popular class. It became the most popular online class because new things were introduced to these children, like someone that's never been to Austria, a 4-year-old kid in nursery 2 was taught how to make some delicacies that are not even known before now in Nigeria. A lot of topics started coming up that are not even in the regular school curriculum. So what I think the high school cloud is even going to do is that it's going to broaden the horizon of education. What you know as, and in fact, a lawyer can decide to start teaching basics of law to nursery school students. So any skill you have that is unique that you can share is what you should bring to the world at this point now, that everyone has come to appreciate the fact that we can actually study online, virtually. So I don't know if I have actually answered your question.
You've actually answered it, and it's a kind of perception I've always had, because when I think about people like Gordon Ramsay, he's a world-known chef, but I don't think he's the best of the best chefs in the world. He's just the one that is most visible. And why is he visible? Because he brings to the world the kind of skills he offers, right? I feel like for a lot of people, we are waiting for, a Hail Mary. We're waiting for someone to give us permission to put ourselves out there. But at the same time, it's things that we already have that is going to take us forward. So in your opinion, Damola, what do you feel like is the main challenge that people face when they're trying to position themselves for opportunities around the world? Have you ever tried to get teachers from other parts of Africa and you faced a specific challenge? It could be mental, it could be in terms of their own perspectives. What would you say, in your opinion, would be one of the things that make it so hard for things like that to happen?
Okay, you're asking about the teachers now, and not the children, not the parents, the teachers. But I think the major challenge that most teachers are facing right now is basically what I would call infrastructure. I was surprised because when we started this, we had our first 500 teachers on the platform. But to my what will I call it? 2/3 of those teachers, they don't even have a computer. Like about 2/3 of them didn't have a computer they could actually use for this work. And then the cost of internet, I don't know in other countries, but in Nigeria, it's quite expensive. Like if you have to spend the money you spend for internet for a 2-hour session here, it's something around about, let's say about 3,000 Naira, or let's even say 4,000 Naira. So I think that's about $10. So you can imagine. And you see, so if this is going to work, and okay, there is the issue of, okay, I'm old enough now to understand you as a Kenyan, but I know the first time I tried to communicate with a Kenyan about 6 years ago, it was a disaster. I mean, like, she was not even getting what I was saying. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Across Africa, Africa is a continent quite all right, but I think there is a kind of divide that you know more about Americans. An average teacher in Kenya know more about America than Nigeria. So there is this wide division in Africa that makes it almost impossible for us to work together across nations. So those are the things. And I still believe what we are doing now is going to be the solution to that particular one. But for this to really happen, I think maybe the government will be involved so that teachers can be assisted to acquire equipment. A good laptop. If there's a good laptop, most of the things a teacher needs will come with the laptop. And then there should be access to affordable and good internet connection. So those are the things that will hinder the progress of this particular system.
So, quick question: what would you take? What do you think it will take for someone like you with your company or any other professional in Africa to take that service beyond the continent? For example, do you feel like there's a special way, we should communicate? Should we get a new accent? Maybe should we, I don't know, post online all the time? What do you feel like are some of the critical skills that would help people, take the vision and mission across the world and across the continent?
Okay, I think that's not going to require much skills. It's going to require a kind of, what will I call it, a kind of intervention from concerned stakeholders. The African Union, for example, is doing a lot in this aspect, trying to bring people from across the continent together and open up channels and all that. But what we need, like I said previously, is just for us to have, what will I call it, common grounds where we can all interact and all that. I'm so used to American accent, British accents and all that. Before now, it's a lot more easier for me to understand those guys than an average African. So if we can open up more channels, in fact, when I was in a meeting that about 20 ministers of education across the continent were attending, and it's this same thing we talked about, that there should be channels for Africans to communicate more. If we communicate more, we'll open up more avenues for ourselves to integrate, to mingle, to really work together and all that. So I've been able to get teachers from outside Africa to work on this project, but not in Africa. So as you can see, and that's still because I still have more access to Europe, to America, to Asia than I have to the rest of Africa. So we need to open up more channels like you are doing right now. We've met now, we're working on this together now, we're having this conversation and all that. It's a good start. So let's widen these channels. Let's create more channels so that Africans can actually talk more to Africans and work together. So not necessarily any skill or any other thing like that. Just the channels.
Okay.
My own opinion.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So, what would you say is your big dream for, the future of digital education or digital industries or digital professionals or remote working? What would you say is a big dream for that and the way forward?
If I talk about my dream now, I don't know if I'll still be around to witness that, because it's a natural progression. But let me talk about it. I can see a future whereby education will become a commodity. I might be able to do that, I might not, but eventually it's going to happen. People are already talking about chips that can work with the brain and all that. Those sound so futuristic that maybe they will happen someday, that if you want to know something, all you have to do is go and buy the chip. Yeah. Let them embed it in your brain and you know it already. So that's the future. But presently, I'm thinking now with, it's unfortunate. The pandemic is not a good thing, but in a way, it's also a good thing. I'm thinking we can have a near future whereby teachers won't have to go to schools anymore to go and teach. They can produce their lessons individually and sell directly to parents. So that the way you buy books, and if you think about it, schools, so I don't know how to say this without offending some people, that going to school is becoming quite outdated. We might be able to change how that goes or not, but eventually it's going to change. Like, you don't really have to go to school to go and learn. Homeschooling is becoming more popular now, and all I want to see in my own lifetime is that we break down the walls of classrooms. You don't really have to. Like, okay, I know I'm running out of time, but let me tell you, I was having a meeting with some parents on a new idea we're bringing up. And I asked them, your 4-year-old child, when do you normally prepare him or her for school? And most of the parents said between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. That's when they prepare their children for school. Because you have to get ready, prepare your child, and make him or her ready for the school bus. Then that child will ride an average of 30 minutes to school, and then, back again and all that. So many things with the way schools are presently are not just really, really necessary. Like, why can't your child wake up around 6 a.m., even have a decent breakfast, then go to a school down the street where he or she can have quality access to quality education? So that's my dream. I'm hoping that we are going to break down the walls of classrooms soon. And then the classrooms can be anywhere. It can be in your sitting room. If you're working from home, you can have your child at home and homeschool, especially the early year kids. Like a child that's less than 5 years has no business going to any school that is far away from home. So that's my dream.
Thank you so much. I feel like we can relate a lot of that with what happens in Kenya when it comes to kids waking up extremely early, and it's something that disturbs me because woof. Anyway, so could you give us, I'd want to open up a Q&A, but my friend Judith has a very hearty commentary to make about your presentation, and there's a way she also wants to relate it with her own experiences as a digital economy expert. So I'm going to invite her now to make that commentary. Meanwhile, guys, I want you guys to put your questions or to be prepared to ask questions. Damola, we're going to come back to you for your final remark after Judith goes on, okay? But thank you so much for sharing with us your journey, creating a whole virtual school and wanting to connect the teachers of Africa with the students of Africa and being so passionate about growth and learning and everything else. It's an absolute delight, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. So Judith.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Cindy. Thank you so much, Damola. I resonate with quite a number of things that you talked about, and I particularly want to comment about two, and that is, your sentiments about reinventing learning. And then the second thing is, I'm just going to call it the way you called it, how we as Africans need to come together. I know a lot of us know what that statement means. So in terms of reinventing learning, we're already seeing it happening. COVID has forced us to think outside the box in a lot of issues. And one of the things that, of course, has been affected is learning. I think if this had not happened, we would still be arguing and debating how well children can learn outside of a classroom. But, we have seen how, that step, we've had to take that step almost involuntarily. And we're not there yet in terms of acknowledging that it is working or not working. I think a lot of people are struggling with it and saying, maybe the children are not learning. But then, there's going to be other things that take place that force us to take learning outside of a classroom. There will not be a classroom. Learning will have to happen where we are. Learning will have to be on the go, in a train, in a bus, wherever the children are. We have to really reinvent it and think differently. And then I was going to talk about how I've seen, programs being run, for coding, for kids at a very young age, and how well they do, as opposed to adults who have a mindset that's already established. It's a cake that's already baked. You have to eat it the way it is. But, those young kids, you actually see how they just, there are no limit for them. They just go in and they're like, okay, is this what we need to do? We're going to do it. And I love to watch those videos. And I love to see that those programs are actually coming closer home to Africa. And they're working, like kids are actually growing up, just asking themselves, how does this work? And sort of taking steps back and coming up with even better versions of machines that we use on a daily basis. So I really support that part that, we have to reinvent the process of learning. I know for most of us, if we did 844 and I don't know, these days the CBA and whatever, we had to be in class or in the shamba digging, it was very mechanical and very, straight jacket. But now learning is going to be a lot of things and we have to open our minds as far as that is concerned. Then the second thing that I want to comment on is about us as Africans working together. Now, Cindy, I actually love this forum and I love that you've taken it outside of Kenya because, we're no longer, a country. We are a global village and, we are touching so many areas. And like Damola said, you know more about the UK than you know about Botswana or something like that. We really have opened up. It's no longer, I think we should even stop this business of talking about our countries. We should be talking about a global entity. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, we have to start from home, and home is Africa. We have very, very severe challenges that we need to overcome so that we can compete on that global arena. And I am such a supporter of us working together as Africa. Mm-hmm. And like I said, before we get there's some things that we need to overcome. And one of them is this mentality that, what am I getting out of it? Cindy is hosting these sessions. Oh, she's getting done. We always think that there's some money, passing under some table somewhere. But we need to overcome those we need to overcome that kind of thinking and support people who are bringing us together as Africa. Support any initiative that unites Africa. We've seen what has happened in the last few months regarding, the Black Lives Matter and narratives around that, we can stand very disadvantaged. And, this is not something new to us. We've seen it. The supremacy arms extend all the way to Africa. They do. We can't deny it. Mm-hmm. So what are we going to do about it? And how are we going to get ourselves out of it? Because I believe that we are the ones who are going to get ourselves out of it. We have to come together as Africans. And some of the comments I see sometimes are disheartening. Oh, I don't know, Kenya versus Nigeria. I don't know Kenya, but no, really, we need to stop this. We are Africa and we have to address our problems. The other thing is that we are the ones who are going to address our problems. And so we need to start coming together and strengthening our entities or our efforts. If Cindy is hosting this event, I'm happy that there's 20 of us keen to realize how we can move forward, how we can grow our businesses, how we can extend our tentacles. I'm really happy to see that kind of support. It should be more. We should support what is homegrown. And sometimes you also have to acknowledge the challenges that Cindy will face putting this kind of event together vis-a-vis another person who has more resources. We've got issues to do with proper internet access and all that. We have to support our efforts and be lenient in terms of our judgment of what we are doing as Africans. Don't judge an African so harshly. Sometimes we are disadvantaged in terms of accessing resources. I work in the international development sector, and there I have seen very clearly, the gap or the divide in terms of resources. But then I also say that, we've got to start from somewhere. And more importantly, we've got to support those small baby steps. We should stop being so harsh in terms of judging our very own and be lenient, but also rise up and support that person's effort. Make sure that we're holding the other person's hand and not be the ones that are letting go and, being the weak link. So, and the other thing is that we also have to take initiative ourselves. Let's not wait for the right environment. There's never a right environment. I think I had a conversation with Cindy some time back, and then after that, I hosted an event. I was actually quite scared. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. I've never hosted an event before, but surprisingly, it went very well. There was nothing to fear. It was just, things in the head. But, we ourselves need to take initiative. And if something's bothering you, if you're passionate about a topic, set up an event. Let's come and discuss it. Invite us. Come we discuss it. If you're passionate about it, don't wait for that person to be the one to set it up. Set up this event, do good publicity for it, and you will see people come and be part of it. So those are the two things that I wanted to add to what Damola has said, and I really liked your presentation, Damola. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judith. I know you and I ran in a lot of the same circles, and we tend to have a lot of conversation around, you know, the unfolding world of work, the digital economy, and everything else. So Damola, before Faris had a question or a comment. Faris, can you hear me? Faris?
Yep, I can.
Okay, go on.
Well, thank you so much, Damola, for taking us through the session. Wow, really, really impressive. So I have a few questions and observations and ideas maybe. Something we've seen in Kenya currently is, for example, Safaricom. Safaricom is giving like special and some cheap bundles to students to access online schooling and some online websites that are educational. So Damola, have you tried approaching your telecom companies in Nigeria to see if they can give you subsidized pricing on your internet, or even maybe free for whatever they can do it as part of their CSR, or they can maybe get some placement in your website? Have you worked out a system where they can come on board and help you so that you don't have to buy your data bundles at the normal price of people who are doing it to go on TikTok or Instagram for entertainment? Second, I want to know if once someone, I don't know what format you're using for your website, and I'm just going to make this assumption. Can I pay for individual classes? Can I, or is it one fee that fits all? Can I just say, you know what, I just want my kids to learn baking. I don't want them to learn driving, or I don't want them to learn law. Can I just pay for that one class individually? The last question would be, yeah, what format are these classes being taken in? Is it PDF? Is it video? And how do you test them? How are do these teachers examine these kids? And is there a way that we can know that, you know what, this is the success? How do you measure your success? How do you know that these kids are making progress? And at the end of it all, it's worth it for me as a parent to pay for these classes, and also for my kid, how can I assure they're really getting out of whatever I'm paying? Thank you.
Thank you, Faris.
Thank you. Thank you for those questions. They're quite important questions, and I have come to realize that these questions are going to help me be more focused when I'm talking. Like, these questions actually cover what I should have said when I was making my presentation. You see, in the first question you asked about approaching telcos to partner up with them, Nigeria is quite different in Africa in so many ways. I'm a very big ambassador of my country. I love my country. I don't run it down anywhere, but the dynamics here are quite different. Okay, here's the thing. If one of the biggest telcos in Nigeria is MTN, if there's any South African here, they will know MTN. But the problem now is that in Nigeria, they are so big that if you're going to approach them for anything, it has to be that maybe you really appeal to their corporate social responsibility sense. Other than that, it's always difficult to get people along when you're such companies along in Nigeria, when you're just starting something. But we have all of them penned down that eventually, when we get to that stage whereby the iSchool Cloud can leverage on our achievements so far and what's on ground, then we're going to approach them. Not even for any other sponsorship or anything. We're going to tell them that, okay, allow students on our platform to use your system free, or to use to have free internet access through your networks. And we have a couple of concepts that I've designed to make it up to them. I was even thinking, okay, since they are always like, when you approach them here, they're always like, what's in it for us? Apart from the publicity and maybe the CSR part, you have to make it worthwhile for them. So I have a couple of offers in mind to make it quite interesting enough for them to get into it. And apart from the telcos themselves, there is a way to, because we have a kind of regulatory body here that actually make the rules for all the telcos. If we can partner with that particular commission, they can actually give us some kind of, I don't know, some kind of intervention that will make the data subscription, if not outright free, but at least affordable. So we are working on that, the first question. Now, the second question is quite interesting because it's one of the main things we're doing with the iSchool Cloud Virtual School. I realized over time that when these kids go to school, in Nigeria, for example, an average child will have about 20 subjects in a class. So we realize that these things, for example, we have social studies, we have civic education, then we still have cultural and something education. All these things are duplications. So we realize that mainly a child does not need more than 4 or 5 subjects per se. So without even forcing those 5 subjects on them, the way we have designed our system is that when a teacher signs up and specify that, okay, I want to take this particular subject for this particular class, we put it on the system. You have to update your profile, put your pictures, put a sample lesson and all that, so that any parent that has a child in that particular class will see you as the teacher, the topics, the subjects you want to teach, the topics you want to teach, your profile and everything. And if they are convinced that you have the wherewithal to do that, they enroll their children into your class. So it is actually one single subject you are interested in, or all the subjects. And we made it even more interesting because SDG number 4 means quality education. So we now kind of made it that, okay, to get quality education now is just $4 per month. So if you find a teacher on our platform that is teaching a subject and you like the teacher's profile, just pay that teacher $4 per month and attend that teacher's virtual classes for the whole month. $4, just $4. And you can even decide that, okay, that's the only subject my child is going to take. Then the last one, you ask what formats are the classes. You see, as a wide scale deployment is coming up, we keep getting different feedbacks. And we have devised a wide range of options. Like just about 2 weeks ago, we launched what we call the Personal Study Center on the system, the Personal Study Center. That does not require any teacher or anything. It's just a compilation of videos for a particular topic in a particular class and a particular subject. For example, if a topic is water cycle, and that's what you want to study, when you log in, you will see a video that explains the water cycle in a graphical way that you will, we all remember, you know, at my age, I can still remember all the cartoons I saw several years back. So it makes it a lot more easier for these children. If I want to learn water cycle and it's coming up like a cartoon, I can see how water is living, going up, forming cloud, coming back and all that. I see it graphically represented. I get it more. And immediately after the video, what follows is evaluation. What is evaporation? What is condensation? How does evaporation affect? And this will be multiple choice. And you know, multiple choice questions sometimes can be very tricky to really do the job. So if you've seen a 10-minute video and then there are 10 questions that will follow immediately and you answer the first one, it's like a game. We made it like a game. You click option A, correct answer, submit. If it's correct, there'll be a clap. Yeah, correct. Move on to the next one. But all these evaluations are now being compiled in a database that is actually managed by a simple AI we have designed, so that even at the end of the week, the system can generate reports per child that, okay, your child is very okay with science, but in mathematics, you need to focus more on addition. He's okay with subtraction. In fact, especially these numbers, he has issues with whenever there is 2 in an equation. You know, the system can actually provide such reports that will be forwarded to even teachers in what we call the virtual classroom. The virtual classroom is the one that implements Zoom, just like we are right now. If you're not using the Personal Study Center, you can enroll into a teacher's class, and that teacher has a timetable on the system. So once it's time for that class, like once it's time for this meeting, you see your teacher, you see your classmates, you have your live classes, and do whatever you are supposed to do in the regular classroom. And we are not using PDF. I personally, I don't think sending worksheets and PDF documents to students and them reading and giving feedback is virtual schooling. No, I'll call that correspondence learning. That's learning by correspondence. Virtual learning should be interactive, two-way feedback and input should be involved. So what we use is mainly pre-recorded videos and animations followed by evaluation. And the results of the evaluation is now being processed for further actions on each child as an individual. So that's my answer to those questions.
That is a very robust, that is a very comprehensive answer. I feel like I know the inside and outs of iSchool now. And if I had a child of my own, I feel like that's the kind of generation I'd want them to grow up in. So thank you so much, Damola. Give us your brief commentary to close us up.
All right. Thanks, Cindy, for bringing us together here. It's been really great. I appreciate. And Judith said something the other time, and I just want to make a quick remark about that. I think Africa is coming up. I mean, like we're doing a whole lot of things. A lot of young Africans are out there. I mean, when you go out to events and so many things, you see a lot of Africans doing a lot of things. So I'm looking forward to the future. I mean, like all these efforts, one day they'll all come up and, you know, materialize, and we'll see the effects of what we are all doing. So we're moving. Thank you.